Welcome back to Crambox Politics Weekly. I am Carl and I am here with Vanessa again. And once again, we are remote. We tried it last week and it worked, so we're going to do it again this week. Hopefully, we can come back together for the next week. But with that being said, this week we are talking about the why. So we spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks talking about the history and the amendments that secured our vote and secured the power of the vote. And then last week we spent a lot of time talking about the general election and the primaries, and we talked about how basically our vote doesn't matter when it comes to electing the president. And I want to kind of spend this week tidying everything up and talking about why it's important for us to vote, even when it seems like our vote doesn't matter. And like I said last week, what I want to do is talk a little bit about the national elections and then focus more on the the local elections and why those elections matter. And so without further ado, I guess Vanessa, you got anything to say?
I do. First off, Carl, why is it so important to vote?
Well, hold on real quick. Let's get started. I'm going to answer your question with the question.
Okay.
How often does America vote?
How often wait, so are you asking like for presidential election or local?
All of it.
I think that they should vote at least once a year.
Generally speaking, there is a, you're right. Generally speaking, somewhere in the United States, there is an election or a vote occurring throughout the country.
But
Now,
in the
that
grand
doesn't
scheme
mean
of
that
things, people
most
oh,
people
sorry,
don't
go ahead.
realize it, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's in North Carolina, there is no vote, no election this year, at least for the state level. But in California, there's an election happening, or not an election, but a vote happening on Proposition 50. And Proposition 50 is the proposition that Democrats in California put forward in order to allow the voters to tell them whether or not they could go ahead and change the districts in order to pick up 5 Democrat seats to counterbalance the non Democratic process by which Republicans in Texas redistricted and drew new Republican favorite seats. They even drew a currently sitting representative out of her seat for the next House elections. But to your point, why is it important for us to vote? And why did I bring in the how many times do Americans vote? The reason that it's important for us to vote is because that is our way of telling the government how we feel, right? We do this thing where we talk a lot about, oh, well, we need to have term limits for senators and Congress people and that the House of Representatives. The reality is that you and I, you're shaking your head yes, right? But here's why that statement irks me. And that statement irks me because the people of America, the voters, are the term
Good for
limits.
them. I know it ends up being that, but how do we get okay, so I get that it's ours, but like I'll just throw it out there. Pelosi, she's been in there forever. And it's like, at what point can other states say, "Hey, listen, you gotta move on." Like, and I know she's from California, so therefore it goes for California people. But there's gotta be something to where the rest of America can say, "Hey, listen, we do not want her representing California. She's had enough."
Well, that's not up to the other states,
I
right? She
know.
is she is a senator for the state of California, and therefore it's the people of
Up to
the state of
California.
California. It's their right to vote for her, right? Like if
I
they
mean,
want her
I
to stay in office, even if she is ancient, then that's their will and that's what they want. I mean, I fundamentally don't think that we should have senators dying in office,
no.
but we've already had senators die in office. We had representatives die in office.
They should have to retire like everybody else in America after a certain age. You're eligible for retirement and you should retire because there comes to a point with your health that your cognitive ability is just not the same as it was.
And yet Biden ran for office a second time.
Yes. I yes. Yes.
Right? Like,
All of
so for
things are
everyone
old.
who's watched this and been like, oh, Carl is anti this and anti that, and he's definitely a liberal, like, listen, real quick, Biden was old as fuck, he was senile as fuck, he had moments where he could like spar, but he was not campaign trail ready. And so
He
because
was a
of that,
Roomba.
I mean, he was a shrewd politician, and he was an individual who, despite his age, was still able to stand toe to toe with Kevin McCarthy and ensure that Democrats won out during the budget conversations that prevented a government shutdown, resulting in McCarthy losing his job as speaker. And now we have MAGA Mike Johnson, but that's another topic for another day. But I personally do not think that Biden should never have run for president the second time. But we also have Donald Trump, who is just as fucking crazy, if not more
Ye
senile than
yes.
Biden, right? Like,
Yeah.
he, there
I
are
don't know more I
reports.
don't know if the word senile is, like, correct. I think it's more or less like they both at there has to be, and I know that they're like, "Oh, we ran, testing and stuff," and that their cognitive ability is there. But to be honest, it's not. It doesn't matter what your age is. After a certain age in life with anybody, your cognitive ability does decrease. It's a proven fact. It just does. So there has to be a term, like an age limit set for House representatives, for the president. There just has to be just because of the cognitive ability that's out there and the fact, I mean, the newest generation that's coming up, what is it? I think it's Generation
A
X?
alpha.
Uh, okay, Generation A. Generation A cannot relate to Trump. They don't understand it. Just like Trump doesn't understand millennials. Like, it just you
Mhm.
can't there's such a large age gap and such a large generational span that there has to set a term, but that's I know we're off topic, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, no, and it's fine because it kind of it brings us back, right? And you are a huge advocate for terms. Whereas the way that I see it is that if I look at a candidate and I do my research on a candidate and I'm informed on that candidate and I know that that candidate is a terrible candidate, I'm not going to vote for that candidate. Even if I
Right.
align with their viewpoints, even if I align with their politics, they're not going to get my vote because I don't feel that they are capable of executing my will on the national or on the local government levels,
Mhm.
right? So that's how I'm going to vote. I wish every American voted that way, but every American
S
doesn't vote that way. And that goes back to our party politics and how when, we talked about the Australian ballot and how people go in and they just mark off their party because
Right.
it's easier that way. But that's why Pelosi is winning all the time because Democrats
Yeah,
won't run against her and the average Joe citizen won't vote for anyone who is not a Democrat. So
right.
Pelosi wins, and Pelosi wins, and Pelosi wins. Pelosi is going to be wheeled in a craftmatic adjustable bed,
100%. They're
and
they're
they
gonna
will
be like,
still
"Oh,
vote for
we're
her.
gonna vote for him." It's it's absolutely terrible.
She
And
could be.
but you know what?
Remember
You're
the
right.
future. Remember the Futurama episodes where they like had the politician's brain.
Mm. I don't think I watched it.
Futurama. Oh my god, Alex Fry.
I know.
Like, man,
Oh, with the robot guy?
yeah, Bender the robot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, okay.
yeah, yeah. So, like in that show, they made jokes about age of politicians back then,
Mhm.
right? And the way that they did it is like they would have the brain of Nixon in a jar, and it had its own robot body and everything, and it was running for president and won the election. It's the joke is there because there's nothing stopping him from doing it.
So, because the people what it comes down to, honestly, is that the people it's easier for them just to continue to vote for the same person and their party line rather than do the more research to find what exactly has been going on. Because I mean, I'll be honest, up until Biden ran for president, I didn't know anything about him. I had no idea, and here come to find out, what was it, 47 years he was in the Senate? I'm like, "Hmm, what did he do
Mhm.
in these 47 years that tells me he's qualified to become president?" Because I had no idea of anything that he had done.
Well, he did a lot, and he had missteps. There were times where he voted for things like stop and frisk because he felt that stop and frisk was going to put criminals on notice that we're going to get rid of these worse and worse. We're going to put them away for life. Turns out stop and frisk was more racially inclined, and it created problems for African American men specifically who were just out in public. Like the people could just stop and frisk anyone that they felt was a potential danger. So I mean, hell, he was in office for desegregation.
Yeah, I know. Like, come on now, like that's there's an issue
It's a
at
long
that
time.
particular. Yes. Like, at that point, policy, everything, like, the world has changed, and to be honest, like, most of our presidents, besides I'll be honest, besides Obama, most of our presidents have been old, like, my grandpa's age, and it's like, "What is going on?" Like, you should be at home with your grandbabies, not running a country. Like, you're just retire. Retire, enjoy your life. You have lived it. You are in your golden age. Go relax. There's don't run for president.
Right, but that we haven't had a president die of old age yet. But we have had senators, we have had representatives die. I mean, Representative Connolly passed away literally 3 months into this Congress. He died in, I believe it was March or April of this year.
It's crazy to me.
And before he passed away, I mean, don't get me wrong, like up until the day that he passed, he was vibrant, right? Like, and I'm not
Yeah,
saying that he personally died of old age. I think he got sick and passed away. But
right.
the reason here, look, folks, the reason that we vote is to stop things like this, right? And so I'll be the first one to tell you, hey, go out and vote, go out and vote, go out and vote. Vanessa, I irritate you all the time when it comes to voting season, right? Go fucking vote. But the long and the short of it is that what we also need you to do as voters is vote, but be
Educate
informed,
yourself.
right?
Yep.
Vote, but ignore the tribalism, right? Now, I will gripe and complain and I'll say things that are off color, like, the American people are stupid. I don't think the American people are stupid, but I do think that we've become so tribalized that we don't stop to think about what our vote means down the road. We've become so tribalized that we've started to think I'm Republican first, or I'm a Democrat first, and I'm American second. It's getting to the point now where the MAGA side of the Republican Party is pushing a narrative that Democrats are anti American,
That's not true.
which
I
which
think
isn't true.
no, it's not true at all. I think that what happens is that, I won't lie. The first time I was like, "I don't know how to vote. I don't know anything. I'm just gonna be," but I knew when I was in the military that if a Republican was in office, I always got a pay raise. But when Democrats were in office, I didn't get a pay raise. So I was like, I'm gonna vote Republican so that the military I know is gonna get a pay raise. So that's how I voted, but I didn't know anything else. So I just, like you said, went straight down the line, was like Republican, Republican, Republican. More recently, I went through and I looked at, especially for our local election. I looked through and I saw, I looked at their education. What education do you have that can back up what you're going to do? I know here in North Carolina there was somebody, I think it was the governor, and it was I don't know, he was not qualified. Like, in
Hmm.
my mind, his education did not back up the fact that you are gonna be a governor of the state of North Carolina. It made no sense, and he made some very crude and awful statements that were out there, and I was just like, "No." So, like, I voted Republican, voted Democrat, like, back and forth, just by honestly looking at their education, what they stood for, and everything. Did I dive real deep into it? Absolutely not. I'll be honest, I didn't. But I looked at what was for me, what
Hmm.
was gonna affect me, my life, and my friends, my family, and everybody that I love, and that's how I voted. So, I get it, just not knowing how to vote differently and not educating yourself what's out there is actually you do a disservice not just to you, but for the rest of the country when you do that, because at the end of the day, you're voting in people that may have never even stepped foot in a college campus, have never even went to college, different things like that, and they look great on paper, or they talk great, and they can voice their opinions and say that they wanna do X, Y, and Z, but that they don't have the background to get them there or to educate them to be better. So that's why I think it's super important to review candidates and see what they stand for and what their education background is.
Right. And I'll be honest, I abstained from the vote with regards to our representative in Congress. And I did that because first and foremost, the Democrats didn't put anyone up against him this season, or excuse me, this past season. And the only other person that was opposing him was a self-proclaimed libertarian who was in no way, shape, or form someone that I wanted in office, because in his spiel for president, why everyone should vote for him, on his website he put that he believes that women should be barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen, right? Like, women shouldn't have jobs outside of the home.
Does that include remote working?
That includes remote working.
Ugh,
It's the man's job to provide for the household. And I was like, I cannot, in good conscience, vote for this person. But at the same time, I cannot, in good conscience, vote for the Republican that is currently holding on to the seat, right? And Vanessa, do you know who he is? I'm going to put you on the spot.
no.
Greg Murphy.
So close.
So Greg Murphy is our representative, right? And I couldn't vote for him because of the fact that, one, like, his politics were not my politics. He had never served in the military. He was a medical practitioner before he ran for office, and he was a he is a red hat MAGA individual. And when I say red hat MAGA, like, I mean, like, falls in line,
Where's it?
wears that damn hat like he is MAGA. Probably would have voted for the resolution that was being touted as going through Congress to give Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, even though Congress doesn't do that.
What did he do that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, if you ask him, he's ended 7 wars. Like, this is number 8 with regards to Israel and Hamas. He brought the hostages
People
home.
some people are just delusional. And you know what? That's okay. I mean, if that's what he thinks he did, I mean, kudos to you for thinking that. But at the end of the day, it was dying down. Like, you didn't
Yeah.
end it, it was dying down. Like, but
My point here, right, is that I tried to get myself informed. Now, what I was not aware of when I walked into the polling booth was that my mayor and every single member of the town council are up
We're
for
gonna be there?
election, right? Well,
Oh.
I didn't know they were up for election because they were supposed to be an off-year election.
Oh, so they would have been this year, but they were last year.
Correct. They would have been this year, but they were last year. And they moved it because they wanted to be closer aligned to the federal elections to ensure a higher voter turnout, which surprised me because here I am. I just got out of the military. I was ready to run for office, but I couldn't run for office just yet because of the way that the timing worked out. And my plan was to run for mayor and then go from there. And lo and behold, they changed it at the city council, right? Which is another point. It's not just voting that you need to do. Everyone needs to go to their town council, town hall meetings. You need to go listen to what the city council is talking about, what they're doing. And you need to be participating because the more you participate, the more your voice gets heard. The more your voice gets heard, the better your vote is.
I agree. I agree.
Um, and if you don't like the person that's running, run.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna run for president.
Hmm, you better have millions of dollars.
I know.
Um,
I'm gonna get Beyonce. Didn't I tell you?
yeah. But to I
Like you
guess
said.
to kind of to end this, right? And I've got a little teaser for everyone before we cut out, but I want to end it with this. In 2024, 236 million Americans were registered to vote. Only 174 million, excuse me, as I was. In 2024, there were 236 million Americans in the United States. Of that population, 174 million were registered to vote. Of that, 154 million actually voted. Donald Trump and Republicans like to claim that they won this huge landslide victory and that they got 50% of the nation behind them, and that, because of that, over 50% of the nation that they represent, that they have a mandate to do things, right? But when you break it down, Donald Trump received 49.8% of the vote. Harris got the popular vote. Harris got 48.3% of the popular vote. That means that Trump got 77 million votes, or 23% of the population. He didn't get near half the population of America. So he doesn't really have a mandate. Harris got 75%. Oh, and the percent that didn't vote, that were registered to vote, was about 6%, or 20 million people. Harris lost by literally 2 million.
Yeah. I think what he did was looking at it is that he went by registered voters and like who went out or the percentage of that went out and vote because and they rounded up, 49.8 goes to 50 and
Right.
Harris would stay at 48. So I mean, it's not like when you look at the percentage and stuff, you're right. It's not a lot that he won by. I mean, 2 million. If those 20 million people that were registered to vote that didn't vote had went out and voted, this whole election could have turned differently, a whole different outcome in multiple ways.
Could have, but there's a slight wrench I'm going to throw into that. Is he won 312 electoral votes because he won the majority of the states, right? So again, this goes back to, can you win the electoral college without winning the popular vote? And the answer to that question is yes, right? Now, are there ways to fix it? Absolutely. But guess what you have to do?
The vote.
You got to vote, right? You got to vote in order to change the system. And if you're not going to vote, the system will never change. We've talked about the reasons why we have to vote. We've talked about the importance of being informed for voting. And Cranbox Politics, in order to ensure that we are helping to inform voters, we are in the process of developing candidate baseball cards. And what these candidate baseball cards are, and you can call them politician baseball cards too, but essentially it's going to be, or it is, a quick one stop, one look at who your politician is and the important things to know about your politician. We put out a request for feedback, and we got that feedback from everyone. If you didn't participate in that, that's fine. Don't worry, you didn't miss out, because what we're going to do is we're going to put out some concept cards to everyone to get your feedback again on what we should do to modify them, change them, make them better, so that you, as the voter, can have something that's in front of you to be like, hey, look, this is my politician, and I don't like them because of X, Y, or Z, or I like them because of X, Y, or Z. Um, the reason that we're doing it this way is because Congress as a whole has a low approval rating within the United States. But when you delve into each member of Congress, they all have really high approval ratings, which contradicts itself. So, in order to facilitate keeping the public, you and us, informed about what our politicians and what the candidates, who they are and what they're doing, we're going to develop these and push these out by the summer of 2026. That being said, next week we're going to talk about states' rights, and we're going to spend the whole month of November covering states' rights. So stay tuned with us. We'll start with the historical stuff and move all the way through to why it matters. And with that, I'm Carl,
I'm Vanessa.
and this is Crambox Weekly.